What's up? It's Claude Johnson here. How's it going, guys? Alright, so hopefully this is not going to be a boring video. Hopefully it's not going to be the same stuff you've already heard before. I'm going to share 3 concepts that I think are important for the blues. Now, obviously blues is all about the feeling, but music theory can help, just like, you know, your understanding, just kind of knowing what's going on. Alright, so first concept is that it's all about the dominant chord. Alright, so you know, you could have a blues song with major chords, minor chords, anything. It could be 2-5-1s, but typically you'll have your 12-bar progression and you're going to be using dominant chords. So the dominant chord has got, it's like a minor, it's a major triad, and then you got your 7th, or technically your lowered 7th or your flat 7th. And that's important, the 7th in particular, because when you think about playing, like, oh, I'm in the, you know, I'm playing blues in A, you think, oh, I'm in the key of A. And when we say key of A, we usually think of A major. So, I guess where I'm going with this is, like, you have to reimagine the key, what it means to play in a blues key, as playing really mixolydian. So, what I mean by that, it's not complicated, but let me break it down for you. Instead of this, where I have my major 7th, that would be just A major. But remember, our dominant chord has the G note. That's our flat 7th. So if we just take a major scale and just lower that 7th note, that's where we get our mixolydian. So I want you to think of the mixolydian scale as just A major, but you just lower that one note, okay? And that lines up perfectly with this dominant 7th arpeggio. Now, it's not like when I play the blues, I'm going around trying to play mixolydian scales. You know, I play something more of like a riff, you know. But the point is, you're hitting that note. It's like a very natural note. You could play the, you could just, you know, play a pentatonic scale. Your ear is always going to want to go to that note. And it works with like any, you know, like I said, any kind of chords. If you're playing major chords, there's that, you know, you're not going to be doing this. So, yeah, you know, if you could play a harmonized pattern, all that's out of the mixolydian scale. So, again, it's not, maybe I'm not explaining it well, but it's not about trying to play mixolydian scale. It's just knowing which notes work. So if you're trying to, and really that's what music theory is. It's like what notes are going to sound good and why. So if, you know, what notes are going to sound good over that chord? Obviously the notes in the chord itself. And then you could add some other notes if you want to fill it in. You'll basically end up with the mixolydian scale. So anyway, I don't know if I explained that as well as I could have, but yeah, it's basically all about the mixolydian scale, and you want to think of that as like your home base when you're just thinking about what notes. All right, so second idea is the major and minor sound together, and I'm talking about like the thirds. So if I have my mixolydian scale, remember it just starts like a major scale. There's my third. So I'm often going to get that third note. That's my major third. But I also will get the minor third. So this can work in many different ways. You know, like one way is just a lick that combines both, like this. So instead of just that, you have, so you could have a lick that combines both. Another thing is just, you know, you just play the major chord and then play a lick with the minor third. All right, there's many ways to to do that. When you're playing the minor third, you actually end up with like a Dorian tonality. But that's, again, I don't go around trying to find Dorian scales. It's just typically I would be playing like, you know, maybe a minor pentatonic. But then, and it's important to understand there is no like one scale. I guess I gotta be careful what I say. There isn't a typical scale that would include both the major and the minor chord. Sorry, third. Sorry, it's early here. Haven't had my coffee yet. But there's no like diatonic scale or mode that has both the minor third and the major third. It's just like you're kind of just using both of them. And I think of it as like you're kind of fluxing in between your Dorian and Mixolydian tonalities. But if that sounds too technical or too theoretical, don't worry about it. It's just you can just use both of those notes, your minor and your major. Okay? And you just gotta find musical ways to make them both work together. All right, so third thing, and this was like the most confusing thing for me. It took me a little bit to kind of wrap my brain around, but when you move through the progression, like from your 1 chord to your 4 chord, again, there's no diatonic scale that's going to have both of those dominant chords. Like if you see a chart for any song and you see like different dominant chords, it's basically like a key change. So you can think of this as like 2 different ways. So if you're just thinking of this as like from pure diatonic theory, you know, when you have like an A7, that's technically like the key of D major, because the A7 would be the 5th. But again, we're not thinking of it that way. We're reimagining, let's go back to the first concept, reimagining the key bass as the Mixolydian. So you can think of it as a key change. Let's just think in terms of Mixolydian, going from A Mixolydian to D Mixolydian. Or you could think of it as just like a variation on, like this would be in a single key if it was just major chords instead of 7th chords. So when you go to the 4 chord, that D, it's the 7th of the D, which is actually also the minor third. So there's your minor third, but this is in a different context, in the context of playing over the progression. So anyway, the thing to note is like it's just you are kind of changing keys, even though it's really functioning as the 4 chord, like a 1-4 change. You're still in A doing a 1-4. So there's kind of 2 different ways to look at it. Again, you could look at it technically as like, oh, I'm in a different diatonic key because I am in a different dominant chord. But you can also look at it as it's just a 1-4 change, but you're also hitting that minor third as part of the 7th of the dominant chord. Hopefully that made sense. A little bit of an advanced concept. And then finally, when you go to the 5th, the third of the 5th chord is your major 7th. I know I said at the beginning that we're getting rid of the major 7th note and we're just playing the lower 7th. But when you go to the 5 chord through the progression, then you would, that gets reintroduced again. So hopefully that all made sense. Let me just play maybe excuse me, through a 12-bar progression and maybe just try to comment as I'm playing. We'll just see how this goes. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Just on the 1, their major third, 4 chord. There's my minor third. Okay, back to the 1. Okay, 5 chord coming up. I don't know, that was a little bit all over the place, but it was still okay. All right, so hopefully that made sense. Just let me know in the comments what you think. What are your challenges for music theory? What's holding you back? What are you trying to figure out? And if you like the content, give a thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll talk to you soon.